Welcome to a bonus episode of Late Entry. We're here to talk about one topic tonight, just the fact that Derek Carr has retired from the New Orleans Saints. So shout out to him. Hopefully maybe he's able to, get healthy and make a comeback to the league at some point. If not, I wish him the best of luck moving forward. It's crazy, dog. The Saints fans were so happy. They were so happy, which is gotta be a terrible feeling, bro. But Derek Carr aside, I hit you guys in the group chat earlier. Y'all thought I was drunk, so I think that the Saints could be a very intriguing place for Aaron Rodgers to land, and here's why. The Saints have Kamara, good running back. They have motherfucking Olave. They have Rashid Shaheed. They've got Kellen Moore calling the plays. They're in a division where they've got the Bucks as really the only competition, and then that's it. The Panthers and the Falcons are very unproven. They both have young quarterbacks that are working their way up. There's not a ton of competition out there. Even the NFC is still more open than the AFC, I would say. You've got the Lions, the Eagles, maybe the Bucks, and the not the Ravens, the Rams. That's really the only competition in the NFC. That's like stands out as like these are like the teams to beat, right? AFC is fucking loaded. We had this conversation. Toph, I know this is before you were with us, but we had this conversation before about how if he was to join the Steelers, he'd be playing against the Bengals twice a year, the Ravens twice a year, and the Browns twice a year. None of those teams are slouches. They all have a good defense, and the AFC is loaded. Like, you got to get through Mahomes, Lamar, Josh Allen, all of that to ever even go to the Super Bowl. The NFC is so much more open than that, and there's no dominant teams there. There's good teams, but even the Lions are going to take a step back. The Eagles are still there, obviously, and the Commanders will probably be better. But it looks better. The Steelers traded away George Pickens, which we talked about at the end of the last episode. Toph, you're a Steelers fan. Who's the Steelers starting running back?
Whoa. Hold on there now. I am not a Steelers fan whatsoever.
I thought you were for some reason.
No.
Oh, you were just a Pickens fan, that's why.
Oh, yeah. I'm a big NFL young boy fan. That's my dog right there.
Do any of you guys know who's the Steelers starting running back? Do you know?
I think it's, is it Jalen Warren? The guy that was back up Najee Harris? Because I don't know if they drafted anybody. So I think it's Jalen Warren rocking it out right now.
Okay. So you've got a very, very one of the hardest divisions in football and one of the hardest the harder of the two conferences in football. You've got one good receiver and you've got a good defense. I'll say that the Steelers have a good defense, but the path is so much more open in the NFC, especially in the weakest NFC division. That's where I'm coming from. What do you guys think?
So I understand the aspect of NFC is a lot weaker than the AFC. That is 100% a fact and things like that. Even the division, like I said, I'm a Falcons fan. I'm a realistic Falcons fan. Michael Penix, still unproven. We got like a lot of young talent, but like I said, we haven't even seen like a full year of Michael Penix, leading the charge of the team and things like that. So, and just in terms of fairness and just, where we're at right now, the Buccaneers are a playoff team. Yes, they're getting older, but like I said, in terms of just like the pecking order of the division, you got to give, the Buccaneers the one. Either 2, 3, and 4 could be a toss-up in there. Now, I personally do like, the Panthers, what they did in the back half of the season, bringing Bryce Young back up, drafting T-Mac, Chuba Hubbard, nice slot running back. He's nothing crazy, but he gets the job done. They got a lot of nice young receivers as well, too. So, like I said, same thing. We don't know what we're going to get out of them. Now, to break down the whole Aaron Rodgers thing, as we all know, he ain't getting no younger. Super long in the tooth and things like that. He's no longer, discount double check Superman. He can no longer carry a team. And Alvin Kamara, fantastic running back, dual threat. He could catch it, run it. I actually didn't even know, but I don't think Alvin Kamara has ever had a single 1,000-yard season his entire career. You can fact check, but I'm pretty sure he's never rushed for 1,000 yards.
But that's just rushing, though. A lot of his benefit comes as a passer, too. He's a pass-catching running back.
Definitely. And like I said, in terms of their offensive weapons, I think it's solid. I don't think it's anything, crazy, I would definitely give the edge on the Buccaneers, probably even the Falcons as well too. With Bijan,
Well, don't
and of
compare.
course Drake London. No, no,
Don't
no,
compare.
I'm not.
No, no, no. I was
Well,
just gonna say,
you kind of go ahead.
compare the Steelers' weapons to the Saints' weapons. That's where I'm coming from.
Okay, yeah. As of right now, I'll definitely give them the edge, especially losing George Pickens. If you just have DK Metcalf, Jalen Warren, Brad Firemouth, Calvin Austin III, I forgot the Michigan guy.
Roman Wilson.
Yeah, Big Rome in the house. Actually, you know what? I actually might give the edge to the Steelers. Only
That's
because DK
crazy.
Metcalf is a lot more proven receiver. Chris Olave, that's my dog. He's a Buckeye, but that man can't stay healthy. Constant concussions. Like I said, he's an up and down player. I think talent wise, he's definitely really good. But for got to be fair, if you can't complete a full season, Aaron Rodgers, he doesn't complete a full season either. So I just don't like the aspect of the age of the Saints. Okay, whether you get an old Aaron Rodgers, you're basically banking on ever being healthy. And like I said, you got to have a full, supporting cast for him. He can't carry the team. If you get a stack up of injuries and Kellen Moore, he's a good offensive mind. But this is the first time that he's led his own team. I think we got to give that an aspect as well, too. It's a lot different than holding a clipboard calling offensive plays, as where you got to get the whole team together, unified and playing as a team. I do like the fact they're in a dome. He doesn't have to worry about playing in, inclement weather and things like that. So I think that is a plus, but I'm just not ready to just hop on the bandwagon to say that's a good fit. I think it's a decent fit. But like I said, Aaron Rodgers, as old as he is, I feel like if he's going to join the team and go through mini camp, training camp, and the whole grind of his season, that team has to be at least with his addition being okay. I could definitely see this team competing for the Super Bowl. I don't think he just wants to join the team and just kind of coast to the motions and maybe get, a fringe playoff berth. Because I don't think it's the worst option in there. But like I said, I still think the Steelers would have been better. Even though it's a gauntlet of a division, I just think the talent from both offensive, defense, the full thing is better than the Saints.
Kyle, I'm gonna let you hit this in just a sec. All I want to say back is I get your aspect of the fact that the Steelers with Rodgers is probably a better team. I just think that the path is easier in the NFC South.
Oh,
Kyle,
definitely.
I hear you. I hear you, but the path is definitely easier in the NFC South. You make a good case. Kind of similar to what Toph's saying. Like he's not while he's not going to get a Super Bowl contender at this point, like in his career, he's not going to be able to just jump in with an already made team. Like I do think that he needs the trenches to protect him. And he's not going to get that in New Orleans. Bottom line right now, like their O line is so bad. He's just jumping right back into what he had with the Jets, and he's scrambling for time, and he can't do that like he did when he was with the Packers and running those MVP seasons and even prior. Um, that being said, Kellen Moore might be, the X factor in that of like, how do I make an offense work around a guy like this? Like, he's really good at the X's and O's, so why not a guy like Kellen Moore making it work for Aaron Rodgers? But I just don't see it. I don't see him having any perfect scenario, and for that, I don't see him really having much more of a career to go. So like he's getting worked further and further in a corner. And I know Tyler Shuck isn't, gonna be the franchise guy tomorrow, but I do think the Saints picked him for a reason, So we'll see, man. I could see it happening. I don't know if it's the best fit, and I could see him having some success, but like I think of it more of a sidestep, like going to the Jets. Like I don't think of it as like, oh my God, the Saints are so good now that they have Aaron Rodgers.
Do you think him joining the Saints and not having, the success that they're hoping for, do you think that's a blemish or a bad spot on his career?
not any worse than the Jets.
I
Yeah.
mean, it probably won't be worse than the Jets. You're right, but it's like, do you want to be Brett Favre or do you want to be better than him? Like, are you gonna go back and go to a team where you think like where you're just gonna
Yeah, because
like
like I said, at
sail
this
out into the
age,
sunset?
he's got MVPs. He has one Super Bowl. a bunch of disappointing playoff exits. I was like, what more do you have to prove? Like I said, if you're not going to try to win it all, what's the point of you, coming back?
Here's what I'll say in fairness too is the fact that Kellen Moore is a first time head coach. He's going to a situation in the Saints where they're trying to build something from the ground up. Um, they didn't draft Shador, and some people say that maybe that's because they don't want a circus there while they're trying to start this new thing from scratch. Bringing in Aaron Rodgers is just going to bring another different kind of circus there, and so maybe as a first-time head coach, you're not as equipped to handle that. Whereas Mike Tomlin is like, we've got shit going on set over here. You join this, you're either fitting in or you're not coming in. So the structure aspect of it, definitely the Steelers. I'm just thinking that with you guys are both talking about the fact of, like if he's playing at this point, he's trying to win another ring. To me, I'm thinking that like I said, I think maybe arguably, if not definitively, the worst division in football is the NFC South. And so you're playing the Panthers and the Falcons, and the best team in the division is the Bucks twice a year. Whereas if you're with the Steelers, you're playing the Bengals, the Browns, and the what am I?
Browns and Ravens.
Ravens, yes. Yeah, the Ravens twice a year. And that's let alone getting out of your division. Then you're playing all the top dogs in the NFL. Joe Burrow, Lamar, Mahomes, I feel like I'm forgetting Josh Allen, even Denver's up and coming, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I just feel like you've got a better shot. Yes, the team is probably more Super Bowl ready to win with the defense on the Saints or on the Steelers, but the Saints I just feel like have a much easier path. Like if we can get in and win a few games, we're there. Either way, it's probably not going to work, and it's crazy that in Aaron Rodgers' career, that a guy who had this much talent, that this is the conversation we're having.
Yeah.
That's just how it goes, though. I mean, everybody wants to play until they can't, And I, as a fan of football, as a fan of Aaron Rodgers, unfortunately, because I had to watch him on Fox for the last 20 years. I do hope he gets a more lit torch than he has right now on the tail side of his career. I really do. Like, as big as his ego is and as much as I make fun of him on this show, I really hope he can have a nice victory lap. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think he's going to pull a Tom Brady and just like switch teams and win a Super Bowl and command a culture like he wants to,
I think that if he has anything left in the tank, which I think that he does, the Jets were a little bit better toward the end of the season last year. He's going to be even more removed from his Achilles. I just think that if he has anything left in him and elevating talent, it's going to look a lot better for him to go 10-7. Is it 7 or is it 10-8?
17 games. That's 10-7.
Yeah, 10-7, 10-7, 11-6, beating up on shitty NFC teams. Then it's gonna look going fucking 9-8 or worse in the AFC and being in the same position he was with the Jets. Like at the very least, let's say that we don't go to a Super Bowl. At least if you play your last season or 2 seasons beating the shit out of NFC teams as opposed to just fucking getting destroyed by the fucking the defense in Cleveland or the defense in the Ravens. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's
and
where
if
I'm
you can
coming
ball
from.
out in Kellen Moore's offense, then hell yeah, I'm with you. Like,
yeah, because I think that's definitely valid. Like I said, I think Rodgers definitely still has it in the tank. I mean, hell, I would take him over quite a few starting quarterbacks right now. I think the real question is, what is his mentality? Like I said, as far as Rodgers, I mean, that man is a supreme competitor. I mean, if we want to talk about arrogant, we talk about Shador Sanders. I don't think anybody's as arrogant as Aaron Rodgers. I do think he gets misunderstood as well, too. He definitely has some crazy takes. But like I said, just watching him play through his whole career, I don't think, me personally, he'd be satisfied with just, 10-7, beating up on the team. Because like I said, I mean, if he's trying to, get into the GOAT, which I don't think there's any way he could do that. But like I said, at the end of the day, when you're on that level, you're a supreme competitor. So I think, like I said, if he's going to play, he wants to really try to, hold that trophy, cut around in February. So I just don't see it. But like I said, I definitely, go ahead.
I was just going to say one thing, just to your point, though, to I guess how my point fits into your point, right? And the NFL has 32 teams, right? AFC, NFC, 16 teams each. So with him on one of those teams, it's 15 other teams. You're saying that you still would take him over so many other quarterbacks, right?
Yep.
Almost all those quarterbacks you're taking him over are in the NFC.
That's true. I mean, in terms of AFC, you know,
They're almost
the
all in the
competitors in there.
NFC.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like I said, I think maybe Denver could have been a position, but that was before we had the emergence of Bo Nix in there. Now with him rocking out, you definitely go with the young gun and things like that. Like I said, and definitely in the NFC, like I said, it is the weak of the quarterback play, so it does make sense to kind of go there. The only thing I would say is, if you're not in a position to compete, you kind of want to. It kind of makes sense to go on the younger end and things like that. When if you're, on the middle of the pack, getting, drafted between, 15 to 18, that's not really like in terms of basketball, like a lottery position in there. So like I said, if you're going to go all in, I feel like it might be just get the young guy just to kind of see what kind of you're at and your team level as far as to get Rodgers, it may start out good. And the Saints are probably one of the most injury-prone teams, in all of the NFL.
True.
And for it to all crumble in, because you got to go all in with Rodgers. You got to basically mold your whole team to fit it, system. So that's the part I would say as forms like the Saints. Doesn't make sense to go that way and kind of go, throw all the, your cards in there. And if it blows up, then like I said, you kind of scramble to kind of say, okay, now we got to suffer the season. Where, like I said, I don't think anybody knew David Carr's injury to this extent. They took Tyler Shough in the second round. They definitely didn't have this guy planning on starting day one. At this point, let's say you don't bring in Rodgers. We've already seen Taysom Hill. I think it's a cool gadget guy. In terms of like a full-time starting quarterback, you might as well go with Tyler Shough, see what you got. If Tyler sucks, go in next year. Apparently there's a lot more of a, higher quality quarterback draft class. It makes sense. Okay, this part didn't go through. Let's get one of these other guys so this can be a backup.
That's fair. Kyle, your last thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, you guys made some great points. I could see him making like a last push in the NFC, like you're saying, because like so many quarterbacks do suck over here. But I mean, I guess I just can't. And I do think that Kellen Moore would maybe be that X factor for him of like rejuvenating his fire for the next couple of years. So I can't say I completely hate your take of him going to the Saints. I just want this motherfucker out of football. I'm sick of him.
Jeez.
Well, if you're watching this, please leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. Steelers for Rodgers, Saints for Rodgers, a third dark horse, or fuck him, get him out of the league.
Hey, TikTok chat, run it up, y'all. Get up in the chat. I want to see y'all
Let us know.
Let me see y'all takes.
Aside from that, we will be back. You'll see our next episode Sunday night / Monday morning for Last of Us recap. Thanks for tuning
Yes,
in.
sir.
See,
Peace.
yes, sir. Peace.